It has a very rich history and legacy, and one of the most leading educational institutions of our country today. Thank you so much, Azma ma'am, for taking out the time and joining us this evening. We're so excited to have you with us here today.
Thank you, Kritika, for giving me this opportunity to invite me over and to discuss this such a thought-provoking advertisement that we have just seen. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I hope we help this generation and the ones who are watching us, as far as this particular topic is concerned, looking beyond the marks.
Absolutely, ma'am. And I'm sure your words and insights are really going to encourage all of them. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into this conversation. When you saw this advertisement, and in fact, a fun trivia I must share with you that ma'am was sharing with me, that her daughter, in fact, worked on this particular campaign with Bonvita. So what were your initial thoughts when you saw this ad campaign? What were the initial, reactions that you had to this?
First of all, it is as I said, a thought-provoking advertisement. And it's a very nice concept taken by this team. And I just pray and hope that it opens the eyes of the parents who put pressures on their children to score that 90% or a 95%. So we have to be careful and mindful of, are the marks more important, or child's happiness and child's life is more important? So even if their child scores less, will it be spoiling their fake prestige and honor, or will the child's happiness more important? So that is, the concept that we have in our society, log kya kahenge? Because of such competition nowadays that is there present in our country. So we have to understand that every heart has its own beat, so let it beat.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much for, adding that humane perspective to this entire rat race that we have constructed today, that, children are falling prey to year on year. So, I mean, now that we have kind of fleshed out what is the larger issues that, this advertisement is pointing towards, I would like to ask you that, in your long spanning career in the field of school education, does this advertisement even hold a lot of relevance in today's time? Does it actually reflect a prevailing problem, which is lack of career choices for students? Because as we know today, we're living in a world where there's abundance of information that people have access to. So many new career opportunities are opening for students every day. But does it still reflect that, if I may say, a very restrictive mindset that, society and parents hold? What are your thoughts on that?
Actually, we are living in a society where marks are more important than knowledge. This is a very common thing in our country, that yes, a child has scored so much marks in a specific exam. Every parent dreams that his son or daughter will become successful in life. Yes, marks do matter. Academic marks do matter. Even we have to now look at other people who are employing, the recruiters. How are they favoring the candidates with a low academic score, or not favoring those candidates? So I think this entire process of giving more weightage, but there is a slight shift. There is a change, because you may have heard of that more startups are opening up and happening. The government is encouraging startups and entrepreneurship in the country. So targeting a high score is always considered a very smart move, because it helps both ways. It helps the GPA and it helps the child. The academic marks are good for technical field also, the ones who are going in for the technical bend, as the professionals, nowadays, they are not gauged more on theoretical knowledge, but more on technical knowledge. So academic marks do matter. However, the academic marks there is a slight change, that there will be offered more on the real world values. Like skills today are gaining more importance than the academic score. Yes, a good academic score will take you to a good university, but it also depends on who you are and your skills and your abilities that are more important. Everybody has heard about Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and so on. They are examples. that a college degree isn't important to become successful in life. Even Sachin Tendulkar, for that matter. They are all examples. Yes, academic marks do matter, but the most important part is the skill that a person has.
Absolutely. I think you've pretty much hit the nail on its head, ma'am, that, what's not important is marks, because sometimes, I mean, the way assessments are, etc., marks also become a, reflection of how well or how good you are a rote learner. It may not necessarily be a good reflection of how much knowledge that you possess of that domain area, or how good you are at applying that knowledge, or how skilled you are, which is actually the three components which take you far in life, in your professional life. So definitely, I think that's a very, very pertinent topic that, and a pertinent point that you have raised there. But what I'd like to know is, while we all, understand this problem, we all talk about it, but let's come to some hardcore solutions, that how do we solve it? So while we know that, at a larger scale, we need a lot of intervention by, probably now with the new education policy coming in, so at a policy
Mm.
level. But there's a lot of change that we can do even within our own independent ecosystems to sort of move away from this mindset, because we are the ones who are actually working on the ground with the students and with the parents. So I'd like to know from you that, as a very seasoned educator, how do we move away from this fixation of marks? And is there something that you're doing within your ecosystem at Daily College Indore, of how, you are sort of incentivizing, other things apart from marks, so that, students see the importance in other skills and talents as well?
There has been a shift in this consciousness towards caring more about, happiness. You ask children today, 5-6 years ago, if you ask children, they would say money is more important. But happiness, and this COVID has taught us that happiness and family time is more important. So people are shifting to jobs where they are spending time with their family. And there is one more important shift, that is to be your own boss. So if you have seen the, platforms like the Instagram or the iTunes or the Spotify, they are the ones who have, instilled in the children, this young generation, that yes, startups are important. And for startups, skills are important.
Correct.
So this content economy that is coming up, what we do in our school is, we have a lot of performing arts, visual arts, sculpture, and all these workshops, as well as it is compulsory for each child to take up a skill, to take up one hobby. We call them as hobbies of interest. It could be painting, it could be sculpture, it could be music, it could be performing arts. So that is compulsory for each child up till class 10 to choose one of this. And including cooking, we even have a kitchen in our school. So there are boys who are learning cooking, the ones who are interested in baking. So if they learn up one skill, which they have been doing for 4 to 5 years, I'm sure they're going to create something different. And what happens is, when they are learning these skills, they start enjoying it. So there are children who have been doing good in painting, and they have taken up courses in art and design. They are children who are good here, and they are doing in cooking and baking, and they're doing courses in culinary arts, and they want to open their chain of restaurants all over. So what I think is, there has to be a shift in the mindset, especially in the mindset of parents, that yes, marks are not that important. Teach them their skills, teach them knowledge. It's better that we have academic scores and we learn more and we get more this thing, but the child has to be more knowledgeable than more academically oriented. And knowledge is different from getting those marks.
Absolutely. And I think what you have said about, happiness being the key quotient for, young professionals today, it's very reflective in this new phenomenon that the world is seeing today, which is the Great Resignation, where we are seeing that tons of young professionals, especially during the pandemic, have resigned from some very good jobs and positions that they've had at multinational companies, because of the very same reason, that they feel that they want a better work-life balance, and they want to actually spend more time with, bonding with their family and their loved ones, etc. So this clearly shows a change that is happening in society today, that is being triggered by the change in the nature of the youngsters and what they
Mm.
desire from their lives. I think even the point about startups is a very good point, and I think we are speaking about this at the right time because not very long ago we celebrated the National Startup Day,
Yeah.
and in fact, if one sees the kind of startups that we are witnessing in the Indian version of the Shark Tank, it
Yes.
clearly it clearly shows, every nook and corner we are producing so many entrepreneurs who are creatively solving so many different problems that plague all of us on a daily basis.
So
So
if we
clearly,
teach the skills to the students, then problem solving and collaboration is going. And Shark Tank, yes, you have rightly said, it is a craze and amongst the juniors, especially the ones who are studying entrepreneurship and business. And it is something which is catching the mindset of these youngsters.
absolutely. And I just, I think it's so heartening for all of us to see. I mean, in the last few 22 episodes that they have showcased, the
Mm.
kind of startups, the people, the kind of backgrounds that they're coming from. In fact, I was very happy to see that, there were, a couple of startups coming from people who have actually never been through formal education.
Yes.
So clearly, there is this huge wave of entrepreneurship in India today, and I see a lot of youngsters, especially like you mentioned on platforms, social media platforms, who are making the use of it. So I'm very happy to hear that Daily College Indore is actually taking a step in the right direction by giving so many different opportunities and experiences to these students to explore different areas. So that brings us to the point of self discovery, which I think as a counselor today is something so important, which is, I think our goal, I'd say, of the counselor community is to be able to help students find what their heart's calling is, which is
Yeah.
actually one of the toughest things. Because when we speak to parents, they always say that, we are unable to figure out what our child wants to do. So I'd actually like to know from you, from your experience, that how do we enable students to firstly identify what is it that they align to, and then how do we give them that courage or that ammunition to pursue their heart's calling, because I'm sure you would have seen so many diverse cases in your career by now.
Yes, that's true. Children, this age, we say that this generation is going to change at least 5 jobs in their lifetime and 5 careers in their lifetime. That is what is said. So what we tell the children is, or what we should tell, then start exploring. Start exploring and start learning the 21st century skills, as we call, like you just mentioned, collaborative skills and critical thinking and problem solving. So give a problem to the child and let them explore. So this is the age of new age careers, skill based careers. So one, we should not necessarily that, as you said in Shark Tank, there are people who are not having a formal degree. So this generation should be more talent based and more skill based. So we should focus on skill building. And what we should do more is like ask the students to go in for more internships, to go in for more or join more clubs, learn about the field. What I tell the children is internship is basically done to eliminate careers. If
Correct.
you don't like a career and you have done an internship in that, you will know by the end of 2-3 weeks that you don't like that job.
Hmm.
So do as many internships as you can when you are in class 11th, or some of them begin at the end of class 10 also. So basically you can eliminate careers. So that is one thing. And those internships will necessarily build your skills in your chosen field,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of competition. And even with low scores, if you have done internships and you have all this good profile, I'm sure there are these new age careers will absorb you. There is a debate which we usually happen where skills versus strengths.
Hmm.
So if you have some strengths, so analyze your strengths and weaknesses and explore more skills. Give a chance to your entrepreneurial ideas. Explore different careers. Why only go with PCM? So like what we have done in Daily College, we have stopped the streams. There are no humanities, science. Any child can take psychology, any child can take economics or painting, or we don't call it now, this is a science stream, or this is a commerce stream, or this is the medical stream. They are all, we have made groups and the children are, choosing from groups. So a child is studying psychology as well as accounts. So this is basically so that the children can explore the new age careers and the new age colleges as well as the new age courses, because they don't want to stick to one particular thing. They have to learn different concepts like economics and psychology.
Correct.
Very, very common and picking up in this new world.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to hear. Actually, this is very heartening to hear that you're doing away with streaming. Yeah. Because one would see that streaming is a classic example of how we bucket children into different categories, because there's so many, there's so much stigma around each of these streams. A stigma about if a child goes to a particular stream, then how good or bad their intellect is. So I'm so happy to hear that you've done away with that, and we are truly making the student the master of their own studies, their own curriculum, what their own course of study. They decide what they want to study, and that is great. Like you said, this is such a diverse sort of mix to have economics and psychology. Yeah. But it's so great because nowadays youngsters, very rightly pointed out by yourself, are actually people who are multidimensional. They're not unidimensional anymore. So they do have multiple interests and they want to pursue both together. So I'm so happy to hear that at a school ecosystem level, they give them that chance to actually pursue both together and then decide for themselves. How is it that they want to go about it further? Do they still want to take both further, like both together further, or do they want to eliminate one, depending on how their experience has been? That's extremely, extremely good to hear. So now this will, I think, very naturally take me to the next part of this conversation, which is the stigma around careers. And I think this, I would come more from a dealing with the parents' perspective. As we see nowadays, because of this abundance of information that students have available at their palms in the form of a phone, obviously all of them, now want to experiment with different kind of careers. Like you said, the content economy, so many of them want to become influencers now. Yeah. But on the other hand, you also have another stakeholder you're dealing with, the parent, who may not necessarily align with this vision for their career. So how are you dealing with that situation today? How are you breaking the stigma around careers, and how are you actually creating an atmosphere for students to actually pursue what they want?
It is a difficult task, but if you give data to the parents and you tell them that this is what can happen if the child chooses this, so let the child go for his own choice of subjects. First thing we have to face parents when it comes to choice of subjects. Okay, and then it comes to choice of colleges, and then it comes to choice of the careers. So first and foremost, if you give data that this is important in today's world, give them more and more information that yes, liberal arts is another important there, and not necessarily medical and engineering. While in our school, because we have so many activities, these fields which are so prominent in India, like the medical and engineering, we have more of commerce and we have more of entrepreneurs and psychology and economics there popular in our school. So basically giving parents data and informing them that this is what is important and this is what is going to be there in the next 5 years and 10 years down the line. So changing the mindset, one can only tell the parents that yes, your child can do something different, and we have to give them examples or provide them with clear or at least some examples of what our children have done in the past. So as you have been saying that there are, yes, the content economy and people want to become, influencers in today's world. So there are some children who have started this working and interning when they were in class 11. So if you give examples and when the others, when juniors see them, So they get that in mind that yes, a startup like this or an internship like this is so important. When my children do internships, they come and tell that to the entire senior class that this is what they did. So it excites the others also. So basically giving examples of what the children have done in the past is helping the others, learning by their seniors. The teachers keep talking, but your children, a senior tells, the children hear it with a lot of intent and a lot of excitement because they can take it at their level. So that is what has been helping, and it has not been much of a problem with parents, a few, but yes, the parents also are changing their mindset.
So I think this is, I feel like the kind of inputs and insights that we are getting from you today just shows this new wave of thought that we have in school educators today. I mean, long ago you would never hear a teacher who would actually come and tell you that we back our claims with data, that we are actually presenting data to parents and actually telling them, let's see, this is where the world is headed and this is the bus that your child needs to ride on to make the most of the opportunities to come. So I'm very I think this is, as an educator, I mean, nothing gives us more happiness, I think, when we hear that how even the approach of educators is now changing. Like there's a sea of change in what our approach was earlier and what our approach is today. And I think internships, I mean, till today, internships were only synonymous with higher education.
Yeah.
So, when students would go into colleges and universities, would you hear of, students pursuing internships? But I think with the new age educators, when I discuss with yourself and other, like educators, it's really amazing to hear that, students, as young as in 9th standard, 10th standard are actually going and shadowing, different kinds of professionals to understand what is it that they do and whether this is something they see themselves doing after a couple of years of pursuing their education. And I think even this example of student mentorship, like you mentioned, when seniors come and share their experience, I think that relatability is what encourages younger students also to walk on similar paths. Very, very, I think this is very exciting. And this conversation definitely makes me feel that now we're inching very close to this new wave spreading to all different parts of the country, and we are actually truly ready to imbibe the new education policy that is being put forth today, and now is going to be put forth in action very soon. So definitely, I think this is extremely heartening to hear. And if I have to relate it back to the advertisement, definitely this clearly proves that we don't follow the one size fits all approach.
Do away with that one size fits all.
Absolutely, ma'am. So clearly we no longer in schools are we only looking at XL black t-shirt.
Yeah.
We are looking at t-shirts of all sizes, we are looking at t-shirts of all colors, and we are looking at different categories of garments. So this has really been an excellent conversation, Azma ma'am. I would really like to thank you from the bottom of our heart for taking out the time and joining us. We know it's an incredibly difficult time for educators because you're managing so many fronts. So we're really deeply indebted to you for taking out the time and joining us this evening. It's truly been a very inspiring conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you to your institute also, and best wishes for your institute and your university for future, as well as to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And a big thank you to all our viewers who are joining us. It is the fact that you all join us on a weekly basis is that, we get motivated to bring you content and add more content to the content economy on a weekly basis. So we'll see you again on next Thursday at 5 p.m. where we'll be talking to another educator about a topic related to education. We'll see you again next week. Until then, stay safe, everybody. Mask up.